Hey guys, my name is DividableHalo, and today I am joined with oh fuck, I fucked it up, HalyconStrike, or known as SentryStrike, for today's interview.
Hey guys, I'm HalyconStrike.
Halcyon, oh, there we go. Anyways, today in this video, I'm going to be interviewing SentryStrike. That's what I'm just going to call him for the rest of the video, but that is basically, his name is HalyconStrike right now. And I'm going to be asking him a bunch of series of questions that are relating to like the old United Union Federation, or to the original United Union clan, and the present, such as clans with the military community and the UNSC base, and a lot about history and a lot about strike. So
Yay.
it's gonna be full of excitements of strike today.
Yay. Alright, you
All
may
right.
begin.
All right. Anyways, so we're gonna start off with this interview, and I'm gonna be asking you about the original United Union clan. Could you give us a little bit about that? Because from what I know, you told me before that the original United Union clan wasn't created by you; it was created by someone else.
Oh, yes. Good question. The original United Union clan was created originally as the ODST group. It was actually done on a campaign mission under the basis of being an ODST group. And we just had a lot of ambition just to, just be like one of those little squad clans. We had no clue of what would become of our future and the drastic change that, Pirate Dude would be pretty much done with. He pretty much quit the clan, and I basically assumed command from there on. And of course, I was a sentry at the time. I'd been a sentry since Halo 3, and since the downfall of the original Sentry Empire and its Imperium. So it's been a very interesting travel. But on the United Union clan, yes, you're correct. The original leader was not me, effectively.
Hmm. So who was the original leader?
His name was Pirate Dude 88.
All right. So during the time, you guys were known in Halo 3, but you weren't known YouTube wide, were you?
Under Halo 3 jurisdiction, we were known as the Sentry Empire, which was basically a community within its own. It was very isolationist. It interacted with only a small number of clans, but it was a really reserved and powerful clan for it being isolationist and to itself. It was not until I actually embarked after the collapse of that clan to this known community, the militarized community, to discover clans such as the United Nations as we knew it to be.
So when did the United Union become the Federation?
The Federation period began after the disastrous war when we fought everything we could against the United Nations, and ultimately where we forfeit uh, our losses, and we moved to a clan named as the Dark Gods Clan, and under M Killer 66 we settled in his clan for asylum and just to assume peace and to rebuild our numbers. It was not our basis or agenda to stay true to that clan, of course, and slowly it was assimilated into the next chapter of the United Union clan, the United Union Federation, as many of you know it to be.
Yeah. So basically, a lot of clans are in the 2012 year or to 2011 year. Everybody knew the United Union clan and the United Nations, but there were many conflicts between you, wasn't there?
That is correct, yes.
All right. During this time, also JB had been kind of like drifting away from his clan and much more, but there was conflicts between the clans known as the Clan Department of Defense,
hmm
and you created an alliance, or was it you that created the alliance called the JRCA?
It was us and the United Nations and General JB's brother, ShadowSniper, who developed the alliance initially to be the middleman of the community and to, I guess you could say, instill stability, to keep the community a bundle of hope and keep it going through its days. And it was very successful in terms of helping people become prosperous, more well known, more renowned, such as DoD and other clans that were eventually in part of that alliance, but it slowly faded away as time surpassed and, people became inactive and the community began to change.
So from what we know, basically the JRCA still exists to this day, but it's a community, not more or less an alliance.
I wouldn't necessarily declare it a community. It's more so of an old decree that has very much so faded away. Only very few independent factions even know of its really true existence.
I don't know. I'm just saying this because I actually searched up JRCA on Google and I found an actual website that was called the Joint, whatever. What was it called?
Well, I forgot the name by now, to
Yeah.
be honest with you.
Anyways, I did find like something that was really similar to an alliance or to a community, but it did state that you guys were the alliance was something to unite the thing. But anyways, going on to the second question, there was a war between the JRCA and the alliance known as the ACCTO, I believe.
Yes,
And the ACCTO was created by Creed and the Department of Defense, which is something that was unlikely at the time.
right. That is true.
Can you describe the conflict between the two alliances?
It really was a Cold War of grudges and old dissenting opinion on both sides. It saw a lot of, I guess you would say, fire on both sides. Not much was accomplished to its outcome, as many people believed it to be. It was more so just a long-term Cold War, but there was no direct belligerence. And whatever direct belligerence there was, it came to an eventual diplomatic solution in the past.
So basically, from what I heard, from what I've researched and everything, I've seen that the war between the two alliances was started between CentralCom and the clan known as the Department of Defense and Creed.
Yes, yes, yes.
So you also stated that the Department of Defense clan was part of the JRC at one point, right?
Yes, originally, whenever it was first designed.
Yeah. So during this Cold War conflict, there was people that were also stating that there was going to be a Great Clan War too. Do you remember that?
In fact, I do.
Yeah. Apparently, the Great Clan War 1 was a conflict between the United Union and the United Union Federation, where there were allies involved, which you stated before.
Yes, that was a major uprising in the community at the time.
Yeah. So basically, do you remember the clans that were in these two wars? Because every clan basically decided to side up against one side, one under the ACCTO and one under the JRCA.
Yeah, JARC and ACTO, they just eventually, I don't want to really say killed off each other. It just came to a very awkward ending. It really didn't accomplish much, but ultimately it brought CentralCom to the light of sphere of influence within the community. People started to know who they were, and obviously they were trying to go against DoD, as we knew that to be. A few other clans partaked, but they didn't really serve any major roles as far as I'm concerned. But it was definitely a war to recount and taught us a thing or two about alliances, especially.
All right. So one thing that I'm just going to state, from what I know, the JRCA basically had people in it was the United Union Federation, the CentralCom. Was there any more clans within it during this war or Cold War?
There were a bunch of satellite clans that were not officially included in a roster, but they did place, I guess you could say, minor roles in the war. Like I said, it was the Cold War. It was not really a direct conflict aside from DoD and Central Command. UUF didn't really play too much of a part, and nor did a few other smaller clans that partaked as well. But it was important, of course, at the time.
Yeah, more or less, like the ACTO also had a bunch of clan alliances that were opposing, that basically only joined ACTO just to fight the United Union Federation. There was clans such as Creed, because I know they weren't really going after CentralCom, they were going after UUF, right?
That is
And
correct.
currently, the United Nations was also part of ACTO as well. And
Hmm.
even my own clan, United Armed Forces, we were part of ACTO just to fight you guys.
Yeah, I understand that.
Not much people really cared about the CentralCom. There was a conflict between the two clans, but basically everybody that was in ACTO was after UUF.
Yeah, essentially they wanted whatever was powerful
Yeah,
taken down so they could become powerful,
yeah,
if you'd say.
yeah. Which it did somewhat work, because that led to the destruction of the United Union Federation when it was led by Zektorn.
Well, you see, things wouldn't have gone that way, I don't believe, if I wouldn't have had a leave of absence for such a long period. The reason UUF started to dissolve from its origins, from its culture, was because it was under a firm leadership. And that firm leadership was very essential to this thing called stability. And that stability in this clan was very significant. So, of course, in my absence, the clan was doomed to succumb to such conflict and obvious events that happen in history.
Do you believe
But
that Zektorn could have led your clan?
partially militarily, but not effectively as a full-fledged leader. He was still under rigorous training at that time, and he was still trying to understand key things when it came to policies and clans and understanding their stabilities. I don't think he really pertained too much of that, and it was the lack of teaching that ultimately led to a destructive way.
Yeah. So I met Zektorn. I've actually talked to him probably more than I've talked to you, right? But during the time of your leaves of absence, he was helping my clan before we were in any war, Cold War, but that. But basically, he did seem like he was a good leader at times, but he was vice president at one point of the United Union Federation. Was that right? When you
Uh,
were active.
he wasn't exactly vice president. My actual vice president, if you want to go by books, was a lone wolf, and he was the actual like political person in the situation. But he was very inactive at times, and like I said, most of the duties fell to me and other military leaders, such as Ektorn. So obviously, they have a renowned influence in the sphere of clan affairs. And obviously, Zektorn took upon himself to become a leader. And I did grant that because I thought I could get recontrolled over the situation. I thought I could reassimilate things from their displacements, but I was very mistaken. Like I said, I was a bit of a rookie leader in that time. I had a lot of power, but I didn't know exactly what I was exactly going to do with it. I had a mindset, but I didn't have the right tools or resources to support that mindset. Had a lot of personal conflicts in life, and I just didn't have the stability to compromise clans and accommodate my empire anymore. So that's, of course, what led to its failure. I blame my leadership in part with my inactivity. It wasn't necessarily that I had the wrong teachings or the wrong methods. It was necessarily due to the fact that I could not control the situation because I could not be active anymore at that point in time.
All right. So basically, once basically Zektorn like failed with the United Union Federation, he did leave to a new clan called NavCom, which probably everybody has heard of, right?
Yes.
All right, but right after that, we also know that the United Union Federation did come back because you did come back or you did come back to Xbox after that, right?
Yes.
And then you changed the name to the United Federate Republic for a short time.
That is correct.
Can you explain why you did that?
It was a temporary fix to a long string of mistakes that were made due to the inactivity and the errors of the upper command. Things were very compromised back in the day, and it was like a court system with the UUF. You had to really critically decide upon the big topics. And it was a yay or nay situation, or it was mostly compromised towards the end, appeasing both sides. The problem with that is that I could no longer appease such situations from such a distance. I didn't have direct control of my clan because I could not be active. And I thought that the revival of a new clan that has strings like the United Union clan to the UUF, I thought that the UUF transition to UFR would be beneficial. In a way it was, but ultimately we retained our roots. There was a popular vote for that.
hmm And basically around that time, you changed back to the United Union Federation right after the UFR, right?
That is correct.
So basically, during that time, it was basically mutual ground. There was not really much things to go by, but there was a new game coming out, and that was Halo 4. And basically, in Halo 4, many clans, basically, I could not even, I don't even know how many. There's just too many clans left the community or just like disbanded, including my own clan.
Yes, yes,
But the
yes.
United Union Federation still kept going in Halo 4.
Yes.
Was that a tough move?
Of course. It was a tough move for anyone. The reason was because of our ambition, our pride. It was so high still. We accomplished so much. It would be so idiotic just to resign because of a folly mistake. the mistakes that occurred in 2012.
Hmm.
We were we were just continuously looking for ways to fix such errors. We thought that giving up on a situation, an opportunity like Halo 4, would be unwise. But obviously, we all know the mistakes and consequences of entrusting yourself moving to this game, Halo 4. Uh, it was a tough time. We were not the only ones affected. It seemed like the competitive people, since it was a very competitive-oriented game, it lost a lot of its creativity, a lot of its culture and roots it was just torn apart. And this new faction is the UNSC took ample opportunity over that, and they planted their seeds over ours to caress the situation and to help shape it into their own.
All right.
And obviously, that's where they got the ground from initially.
All right. So before we continue with more UUF history, let's cover the base of NavCom. So basically, during the fall of a lot of clans, NavCom was a new clan, right? So many leaders and many people moved to NavCom,
Yes, you're
including
correct.
Zektorn and my own members, and everybody that moved to NavCom. Was NavCom really that active in Halo 4 towards the beginning of the community?
It's hard to say because I don't want to put details that I do not fully understand under the microscope of that sort of thing. But I will say that they had some predominance in the beginning, but it really leveled out after a while. Uh, and obviously, they had their rebirthment period with Reach. They had a really ample opportunity when they went back there. But on Halo 4 in the beginning, it was hard to say. I was way more concerned about my own clan's survivability than the welfare of another.
Hmm. And there was also the creation during the fall of the United Nations called the UNR, the United Nations Republic,
Mm.
and it was led by Lingling Killer, from what I believe.
Yeah, sadly so.
So basically, Lingling Killer, from what I heard, was a vice president within the United Nations during the time of the fall.
I assume so.
From what I'm hearing right now. Later on, hopefully, we can get Lingling for an interview. But let's continue on with this. Halo 4 was the time when you were also had allies such as Lingling Killer, the United Nations Republic.
Yeah, we had some relations with them, but of course they went to bitter ends ultimately.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, it was just really hard to fix such situations like that, especially if them mended into the past. And obviously we had our histories together. Um, I think we just got off on the wrong foot, and it ultimately continued down that pathway with no one really looking back.
All right. So we're going to move on to this next topic, and this is the topic of the NRI, the clan that I think most people disliked.
Ah, NRI, yes. What do you would like to know?
How was the NRI? Why did you create the NRI, and how did you create it?
I created it for UUF's political asylum, for UUF to transition into something greater for a long period of time, because UUF needed an extraordinary break. It had gone through so much, and many clans do not realize that. And those that do just look at our flaws, like I was saying earlier before this interview. They take the microscope and they look at all of our negative flaws, and that's all they focus on. They don't look at the bigger picture. And when they try to do that, it just ends up going back to the same thing, our flaws. And, they never really listen to us, and that's kind of, I guess you could say, a little bit disappointing. But ultimately, the NRI was made from the UUF due to the fact that our old system was very much so aging. Our chain of command was ages old. People coming and leaving back into their old positions. Things just didn't look right, and they ultimately were not right. The
All right.
UUF was a very triumphant clan, Everybody looked up to it at one point, and I think that was a really important achievement. So why not keep the nostalgia of UUF? Why not keep the spirit of it running? So we developed the NRI to implement better systems to accommodate its future. But we did not mean for this whole string of anti-NRI propaganda. We did not want to incite any, vicious violence amongst people. I think people just looked at it too critically. We just had our political views in very stark contrast against the UNSC.
May I ask you one question? Why did you call it NRI? Because it was called the National Reikest Impruim. That's something that's actually different from the clan community, what other people go by.
It's because we wanted a sense of originality. You know, it had some Latin and Germanic roots, and I like that. It's something different. It's somewhat original, but not entirely. And, you know, people don't usually do that. They always say, oh, we're always united, united, united. So I said, okay, I'll think of something that represents our political views. Nationalist, Reikest, Imperium. That represented a full broadband of our views. And that's why I created the name that way, because we are nationalists of this old military community. We didn't want it to die, and we don't want it to die. We wanted it to succeed into the next ages with many other clans. We wanted to be the middleman that set equality, that set balance throughout the community. We're not trying to be peacemakers, but we're trying to be people to be the middleman in a situation that is so complicated. A lot of people think we're crazy for that, but it's a logical solution to such a condensed problem like this. And people don't see that.
Alright. Yeah, so one thing too is like when the NRI was created, there was a lot of people that weren't really happy with the clan. Was there?
It just varied. People didn't like it because of its inactivity and its main focus for political and systematic reformation. Because that's all that clan really was. It was just a voice without a fighting body, because it was a transitional clan like the UFR, take for example. Ultimately, we're not going to entirely drop UUF because we have been through so much with that. You know, that became our ideal structure, ideal clan, that vision there at the end of the road. And we wanted to achieve such powers again, but at a fair, you know, and balanced status. You know, we don't want to rip things away from people that they already have. We want to make sure that people enjoy the things they have. We want to embrace other smaller clans that are not known yet, because they could be the great, you know, future that we all want. And we want to embrace that and not destroy it.
So also during the time of the creation of the NRI, there was many other anarchy or coalition clans against you. Like, from what I understand, there was like there was a bunch of clans that were united just to take it down, the NRI.
Yes, there are a few, but like I said, because of our political skeleton state, they couldn't really touch us.
Yeah,
We didn't have...
Sorry, continue, my bad.
Okay. They couldn't really touch us because we didn't really have a very predominant media and cooperating with our military. You know, we had some insight in the media. You know, we were heavily devoted to the system, like I said. You look on the website, you see a lot about the system, because that's one thing we were trying to do. We were more concerned about that than conflict and fighting UNSC. You know, we wanted to, you know, extend our views in a more different manner. And we wanted conflict to revive in UUF, because that would be just natural for that situation.
So there was a lot of basically showing of the NRI, and basically a lot of people noticed it and they thought it was a full operational clan, but it wasn't, basically, right?
That is correct.
So even your number one fan, Kasora, made a video about it.
That is correct.
You seen that one?
Yeah, I did.
I found it a bit funny, but it was Kasora. He hates everybody.
Boy, he mainly hates me.
Yeah, mainly hates you. He hated JB. He hated ShadowSniper. He hates It's basically a big thing. But anyways, going to our next topic, there was another rebellion clan that I think was created, and they took the name UUF. And their main goal was to basically fight you, and it was basically composed of a bunch of sentries. Do you mind explaining what that was all about?
That was, I guess you could say, in retaliation for us trying to focus our resources and give everybody a break. Obviously, we had those hardcore people who did not want that. We had those radical nationalists in our clan who did not want to see UUF's demise. They wanted to see its extended lifespan. But because of our actions to reform our clan systematically and to extend our views and to redevelop our clan, you know, they saw that as a setback because we weren't doing much. So they took it as an opportunity to go ahead and say, oh, no more strike. This is just our clan independently. and we do not recognize them as a legitimate state, but they are a clan in fact. But we will no longer give them rights to any names or any historical events. We see them as dissenters to our true roots and culture. They have made lies about their ranks, about their past. They've manipulated stories to make them sound like gods. And that's one thing I don't like. So I condemn any of those supporters of the fake UUF, as many of us call it. And we will not acknowledge their existence ever until, obviously, there's no longer anything to acknowledge. Practically, there isn't anything right now. It's just the whole matter of them trying to take our heritage and our culture, and they're stuck in the past, to put it quite frankly, and they're trying to manipulate the stories to make it sound like I never existed. They're making lies like our videos never existed. It's like a personality cult of the old regime, and it's just so weird. It's so awkward. I don't really know how to view the situation, but I don't acknowledge it. Because if you acknowledge such a situation, ultimately it will, go ahead and embrace and build upon itself. So I'm just going to allow that to die out, as all failed attempts of recreations have under other people.
All right. I've also on the Facebook Halo Clan community, I was talking about like why do people hate SentryStrike, right, and the United Union, right? And basically, a lot of people gave me their opinions, but there was this one name that popped up. I believe his name was Sentry Persecutor. I'm not sure how to say it. Is it that right?
Precursor?
Yeah, Precursor.
Yes. What about him?
Basically, people were saying that you brainwashed him to be like yourself. Do you
Oh,
mind
no.
explaining what's going on there?
Originally, me and him started out as clan buddies. I helped his clan get in the community a little bit. And in return, he ended up saying, hey, we have great clans here. I might not be as known as yours, and we still have a lot of resources here. Maybe we can do something about that. And I said, okay, I'll cut you a deal. I'll see how you do fare in this clan for a little bit. And eventually, he became a well-distinguished officer. I did not brainwash him. I did not do any magical tricks, okay? It was all on his own well-being. This is all him just being willing, just being a friend to me, sympathizing for whatever mistakes I've made, because I'm only a human. And like we all are, we will make mistakes. And for the people who ridicule me for my very incompetence with certain situations, like very isolated incidents, they like to concentrate their focus and negativity on that. And they like to make it the big picture. And they want to forget about everything else that I've done positively. And that's where they get everybody to follow them in stampedes. They get all the people who are ignorant and bashful, and they'll get their little drums and they'll bat away and make me look like I'm some evil, evil person. But in reality, if you talk to me, I can assure you that's quite the opposite. But people don't understand. But anyways, about Precursor. Precursor and I just simply got along very well. We were well-distinguished friends in the UUF. He served as an advisor on many accounts, served in my council, and I rewarded him and respected him for that, and in return, he did the same. I did not brainwash him.
All right. So basically, it comes down to a lot at the moment. During this time of the community, people are really not happy with you, and they're kind of seeing you as a threat, as like a bad guy, especially the UNSC community. I've seen a lot of them like calling you a Nazi, communist, and all that, just because the way you speak, even though it's a more professional tone, which I find pretty more, how do I say it? Professionalism. I find that professionalism, but these people find it as like you're leading a Nazi clan or a communist clan. What do you think about the way they're saying this? What do you think about this?
I think that many of them don't understand the entire situation. For many of these people who are leading their fronts, leading the masses to hate me, I've just had personal accounts and they just ended terribly. We got off on the wrong foot, or something was misunderstood, and the ultimate outcome is they hate me forever. They want to expose my little flaws and make them center stage. This is one thing I don't get here. Why is my clan being held to a higher standard than everybody else? Okay, They want to talk about superiority and all this stuff, and they hate me because I have a red flag, and they call me a Nazi because I have a red flag. And just because I have a few similarities, some quote-unquote similarities to the Nazi regime, it's just little things like that. And they call themselves superior beings, like the UNSC do. Like, they think they're all super natural or some shit, and they think they're truly better. And they want to go ahead and contradict themselves and call me a Nazi. I asked them, aren't you the real Nazi here? If you think you're better than me, better than everyone else, the average Joe, that's a bit offensive. Now, what's more offensive than that? You know, it's just a matter of opinion. And I just respond as equally as they do. You know, I'm not going to put up with their crap. If they want to brainwash people, they want to talk about me brainwashing people. You know, look at them. They're just brainwashing people to hate me because of their magnifying the little things that happen, such as me and my, you know, flawed past that I had. You know, I had a flawed past like anyone else. I don't expose them for that, do I? No. I mean, I used to somewhat because they were doing that to me. But ever since then, I've stopped because I said, hey, it's not worth it in the end. Let's just sit here on the defensive because these guys truly just hate us, you know? And I'm going to allow them to express that, but I just don't understand why they don't see the bigger picture like I do. I hope they do. I really do, and I'm sorry if they're misguided in that way. But I truly do not think I'm trying to brainwash anyone. I'm just trying to serve the middleman point, that we need stability in this community. Where's the sense of nationalism? Where's the sense of our old pride? It's all tarnished because of people like the UNSC who are competitive assholes, who take over an advantage of the situation, and put people to shame like me just because I'm different, just because I have my political views, just because I'm a quote-unquote communist Nazi, whatever. That makes no damn sense. Focus on the bigger picture here, not just me. That's what I tell people.
All right. So you basically answered the second topic, which was the UNSC clan. Now, basically, the UNSC clan was created, I think, somewhere in 2011. It wasn't that big. Even in 2012, it wasn't that big. But it started growing in 2013, since basically NavCom recruited a bunch of military people, and people started to like, hey, this is different, right?
Correct. Yeah, it was different.
Yeah.
I was all for the little differences like that because it was good to have a blend of both, you know? But whenever they overdid it, you know, that's when things got very complicated. That's where they started undoing our culture, overriding our authorities, you know, that we had over our own independent clans. They're trying to steamroll all the superiority just because they had a little bit more skill in the game.
All right.
But I think it should focus more on the fun side, the creative side. What about the creative people out there who don't want to just sit there in MLG matches all day, every day, repeat, repeat, repeat? You know, what happened to the uniqueness of the old community? It seemed to have died because people like these people have taken over.
Yeah.
It's these people that are the problems.
So basically, many of like the UNSC clans and some of the military, such as like the UNR, they're blaming like the United Union Federation. They're blaming you, Strike. They're blaming a lot of you, saying like the community is dying and stuff like that. Honestly, what is your opinion like on that? Is it your fault or is it their fault?
I think it's all of our faults, to be honest with you. I'm at fault in some ways. They're at fault in some ways. But whenever you truly look at it, you know, I think it's mutually assured destruction. You know, I'm pretty sure some people have heard of that before. It's just we're mutually screwing ourselves over. You know, one side slowly winning over the other, and then somehow it flip-flops. And it's just, when is this going to end, you know? Why do we have to sit here and focus on such things? They're saying, oh, he's fading away finally, this and that. But guys, I'm just still trying to express my independence here. They don't like my independence. They want me to be assimilated into this UNSC catastrophe that's ruining our culture, that's destroying our roots, that's brainwashing these people to mindlessly hate me. That's the people you ought to worry about. I mean, it's just things like that. They want to put me as the big instigator, but when you truly look at the situation, you know, maybe, sure, on some points I'll give them the okay card, they're right, but the bigger picture here, you can see who the main antagonist truly is here. Who's the real victim is the question. And I want everybody to answer that, because that's a really important question. But because of brainwashing, because of propaganda, because of all these mistakes, people always side with this corruptive, old, and staggering state.
Yeah. So basically, it's not also helping with the new other Halo games such as Halo 4, which wasn't great for clans as we said before, and the Halo Master Chief Edition currently has a lot of bugs and problems.
Yes,
But do you
that is true.
believe like the community will rise again in the Master Chief Edition and including Halo 5?
All right. You want my true opinion?
Yes.
My honest opinion? Okay. Um, I'm gonna be very blunt here. I'm not trying to say this to be just saying this in advance here. I'm not trying to be egotistical or anything. Not trying to be narcissistic. I'm just trying to be completely honest based on the past. Okay? And I'm saying this on a truthful basis from my experiences. And I'm saying this because of a whole lot of other reasons that people can back me up on. Okay? So, we need obviously a little bit of our old culture still predominant here because without it we will make the mistakes of the past and it will repeat history all over again. It will fall in this revolving door incident. We go through and out, all out, and all that ends up in being is this huge catastrophe. These new generations diseducated of our true past, our true origins. All they do is cling to whatever is in the now, whatever is in the popular spot. The only way we're going to truly bring back this community is if we get a grip on each other, first of all. And secondly, we need a middleman to balance the situation out. If we don't have some act of balancing in this situation, we're doomed to our own mistakes. And that is just simply the logistics of the situation. And it doesn't matter how you look at it. It's ultimately a very desolate, dark, wretched, future because of past mistakes. So who's going to be the person to stop this? We need to find that leader amongst us all that can say, okay, this might take a bit of my time. This might take a lot on my part. But hey, in the end, we're all mutually benefiting. We're all moving forward. Instead of going in this revolving door incident where one side flips over the other continuously. We need power again. We need essentiated power. We need that superpower to come back and hedge fund us back over there. Like, take us and basically make us a very prosperous machine again. This is a very, very conflicting incident. And I think unless we truly get things to an organized basis, we're doomed to have this disordered society. We're doomed to have our old mistakes repeat.
All right. So it's been recording for about almost 40 minutes, so we're just going to quickly end this one last topic. There is a United Union Federation on a Halo Master Chief Edition currently, isn't there? Created by you.
Yes. Yeah, that's correct.
So are you going to try to bring it back to its old power, or are you going to try something new with your new clan?
That's a really good question. We're going to try something a little bit different, but we're going to still retain to our old independent roots. Many people may find it bitter tasting at first, but if people would at least try to open up, they would understand what we're trying to truly accomplish here. We're not trying to accommodate ourselves, as many people say we are. We're not trying to even get terribly, immensely prosperous off of all of our ideas. This is mainly focused, like I said, on balancing the community, getting it back to where the militarized actually have a say, getting people back to their, roots, their culture. It's been so disillusioned for all these ages now, nearly 2.5 years. I think it's time someone does something about it. And if nobody is willing to, then I, by God, will. And that's just simply the fact. I just think that unless we do something very radical and very rapid change, just think of how things were in 2012. It was like the Industrial Revolution. Radical change, radical thinking. It got us far, so far, but little mistakes bent us over on our own feet. And we fell face first into this whole UNSC catastrophe. And obviously, all we have now is just this model as a great clan, apparently, And it's just terrible. We've lost our culture. We've lost a lot of good people. And it would be terrible for things to completely die that way.
All right. So yeah, that's basically what you have to say about what's going on, right? Anything else you want to tell our viewers?
Yes. I just like to say, everybody, just try to not judge the book by its cover. I know I'm being so original, right? No, but I'm being serious here. Just listen. Just try to analyze all sides of the situation before making a decision. It's very important you do that. If you just judge, like me, for example, just because of these people. You don't further understand that, it's just like concentrated hate from what, for what? What are you getting out of this? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So try to be the smarter individual. Try to innovate us for a future that's worth fighting for. Don't be a part of that disaster. Don't lead us to failure. We are better than this. We are such great people at heart. I know many of us can pull through these times just as we have in the past. Thank you.
All right, that was SentryStrike. I'd like to thank you for taking your time out of your day to do this interview with me. And
Oh,
I'm
thank
pretty
you
sure
very
a lot of
much.
people are probably thankful. Maybe some people, obviously. But
Oh, yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe on what comment your opinions on what you guys thought about strikes. If there's anything you think that we can do to improve this community, just leave a comment down in the description below. Like Strike said, he wants the community to come back to the way it was, because it was fun in 2012. There was war, there was a lot of drama going on, and
Yeah.
it was fun drama. It's not like the way it is now, where people are insulting people just based on like Nazi and communist, because I find that a bit ridiculous in my own opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But
and
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, thank
Anyways,
you, Dividable, for like having this interview. I truly respect you for this. I truly respect anyone who's listened thus far. Just keep listening to these interviews, guys.
yeah,
Dividable has some good topics coming up, so
yeah.
thank
So
you.
yeah, so hopefully later on we'll be interviewing some more iconic figures to the community as it is right now, and maybe some old people if we can get in contact with Mr. General JB himself.
Oh, yes. Stay tuned.
Yeah. So anyways, that is it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.
Yay!